Oh, we made it. Whew. Hello. Today I decided that I'm gonna go through my portfolio. It's not pretty, but it's gotta be done. So here's all my stuff. This is a lot of paper and a lot of drawings, but I'll get through it and I'm gonna do it. So let's begin. So at the beginning here, I just wanted to show a few pieces that really started my artistic ambition. As you can see, I got the Avatar, and you know that that's probably one of my favorite movies in this whole planet. This piece here was done before that, probably when I was about 13 or 14. Super fun with the eyes, I love it. And then this one is actually the very first tattoo design I ever made. It's a cabbage rose is what we call it these days. Now we're getting into the high school years. For my last year of high school, I actually took an Art 31 class, which I believe is a college level course. And in this time period, we had to create 10 to 12 drawings and have an overall theme for them. So mine was expressing human emotions through animals, humans, and or hybrids. This one was actually done earlier on in my high school years, but I just wanted to kind of add it in there. Now back to Art 31 class. This was one of my submissions. This piece is actually called Loyalty just because of the lioness protecting her lion king. Alright, so now we're getting into the actual tattoo portfolio. This is the piece I started out with first, and the following ones are actually ones that I took in with me when I went to a tattoo shop to ask what I needed to prepare for a tattoo apprenticeship. At this point, I didn't really have much knowledge or background when it comes to designing tattoos, so they're looking quite rough in my opinion. But we definitely all have to start somewhere. This is my first koi fish, and oh my gosh, I remember it being so difficult. Now we're actually getting into the part where I got offered a tattoo apprenticeship. I did go to a studio and ask a few questions, not even looking for an apprenticeship, but just seeing what I can do to really prepare for it. And one of the artists recognized me and said, here's some homework, draw these 5 pieces and come back to me in 2 weeks with what you got. So I drew all 5 and then he sent me back home to redraw everything, which makes sense now that I'm a tattoo artist because they want to see how versatile you are and what sort of changes you can make. Also just to see how far you can stretch your imagination, really. These were my first attempts at a dragon. And oh my gosh, this was so difficult. Ugh. I believe this rose was also another one of the pieces that I had to do for homework. After some time, I was starting to get used to designing tattoos, and these were one of the first pieces I actually designed. I wanted to do 3 color variations because I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with it, but I actually ended up tattooing the one on the far left. Here's some more little rough sketches. You can see the orange circled parts there are parts that I probably needed to change or improve on, which you definitely should be open-minded and allow any sort of criticism when it comes to getting a tattoo apprenticeship. That way you can learn and get different opinions on things. Here's just a little teacup and tea kettle set, nothing too fancy. In the beginning of my apprenticeship, I really wanted to master neo-traditional tattooing. Later down the road, I figured it was a little difficult and it was a bit of an oversaturated style in the industry, so Obviously I took a different route, but before that I did try doing some other styles and seeing what kind of clicked with me. Coming up, this is one drawing that I apparently redrew a million times, what it seems like. I had so much tracing paper with this one. I'm not too sure what the end goal was. This was nothing I ever tattooed, but the design's pretty cool and the idea's there. So here you could say is my first official flash sheet. I love these cactuses. They all turned out super cute and I tattooed every single one of them. Here's just some more little flashes that I did and started out with. Some super simple stuff just for the beginning. You don't want to go too big just because you can get a little overwhelmed, but I did all these little ones and they're so cute. This was actually my first large piece. I did end up redrawing it a few times until I finally got it right, which is what is shown here. And then I did a color rendering of it. And I did tattoo this one eventually. Here's just another lady face I did. Nothing too crazy or eccentric, but she still turned out super cute. Here's just some more pieces from my little flash book. I had a really big thing for the perfume bottles. I thought they all turned out cute, and I definitely tattooed a few of those as well. This was one of my first large color pieces, and this was my very first practice skin, and I love how it turned out. There's definitely some line work that needs to be fixed on it, but it still turned out super good for a first try. And then just some more little flash pieces. You definitely want to do tons of these little ones just to get the hang of it, and especially with practicing your line work and lining out those small pieces like the one I'm trying to pick up now. I really enjoyed flowers at this time period, and I felt like I finally figured it out, so I was just drawing them like crazy. You'll see quite a few throughout this video. And again, some more flash pieces. I believe I've tattooed every single one on this except the bee in the middle. I wish I had all the pictures of all these. I don't know where they went. Ugh. Here's another design I did and colored in. I believe I used markers for it, but I can't quite remember. I didn't end up tattooing this one, or I might have and just did the flower. Here's another one that I really wanted to do. I used the Prismacolor markers for this. Really wanted to tattoo it, but oh well, next time. This one is actually on the back of my head, on my shaved undercut. And it's actually one of the easiest parts to get tattooed, surprisingly enough. More flowers. So that one that I just placed is actually my second tattoo ever, and it's on my sister. Thank you so much. And then we got yet again another potion bottle. I actually tattooed that one, but only got through the line work, and the client was having a really hard time sitting, which is very unfortunate. So I hope one day they eventually got it finished. So at this point I was starting to feel a little more comfortable with line work. I found something that I really enjoyed doing, which is the flower, of course. The one on the right there is one that I tattooed on my sister, and it looks great. We did a pink and blue, I believe. Here's a little pre-sketch of the cactus. And another lady face. This time I wanted to do tentacles. I love aliens and anything kind of sci-fi like that. If I'm remembering correctly, this is the part where I realized that snakes can be super hard. It can be quite difficult to tattoo long and curvy lines like that, so I definitely got a little bit of a reality check then. And then of course you gotta love Billy from Saw. That was actually my first new school piece that I had ever tattooed, and it was on my boss at the time. I think she loves it. I really hope she does. Little traditional rose. And then after that, I really realized that I do love the new school, and it can be really fun to design. I really love these pieces inspired by Kelly Doty. And then here we are jumping into a little bit of my flash book. I definitely could have done a lot better at putting it together. This is somewhat presentable, but it's always better to have finished pieces. So everything that's properly lined and colored in, that definitely looks a lot more presentable to any potential mentors or studios that want to take you on as an apprentice. So I definitely recommend doing a way better job and putting far more effort into your portfolio than I did. Honestly, I kind of got lucky and got noticed right away, I guess. So I was able to get an apprenticeship pretty quickly without a whole lot of preparation. Although I had been drawing for quite a while before I even decided I was going to be a tattoo artist. I just wish I had done a little more research. That way I could have been even more prepared for when I did begin my apprenticeship journey. I was very fortunate with being able to have the chance to find a second apprenticeship. This is where a majority of this work has been done. And I did get to tattoo a lot of it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to tattoo any of this Halloween flash, but I've done some really cool spooky flash sheets in my style now, and hopefully I can just create more and more. Now, here's the big one. Dragons are so difficult to do. If you've ever drawn scales, then you know. But I decided to challenge myself to not one, but two. The first one was meant for a thigh, and this one is actually meant for an arm sleeve, so it would take up the entire arm. And this one is honestly one of my most favorites. I completely love it. The line work I think is great. I probably would tweak a few things like where the face sits and whatnot, and the part of the body that would fall on the shoulder. Just that big rounded top I could probably do something different with, but here's the colored version of it. I did use the Prismacolor markers for this as well, just to get that nice blend. The flames were actually orange at one point, but I just went over it with green because it started looking like a rainbow. Here's another dragon I did a little bit later on in my career. I think I was tattooing for about 2-3 years, and I really wanted to embrace the Japanese traditional art. But shortly after that, I figured out it was really difficult, and there are many artists out there that do tattoo Japanese traditional, so I figured I'd just leave it to them. And not too long after, I believe, was when I really started to feel more strongly towards new school. I know I definitely liked color and wanted to push my career in that direction as a color artist. So here's kind of the last little bit of the Japanese stuff that I was doing. And then, yeah, shortly after that, I was our new school girly. So that's kind of the basics of my journey in the beginning. I would say the first few years of it. I had a lot going on in the beginning, so there was some breaks in between, but I did end up creating a lot, and now seeing it in person, and this is only a few years of it, it's intense to see how much that I did actually do, but this is kind of stuff that you can expect to be doing once you do start your apprenticeship. It's a lot of work, a lot of dedication, but if you're really determined to do it, then you'll get through it pretty easy. I guess you could do the comparison to how I'm doing now. You're always wanting to learn new stuff every day, and you gotta make mistakes to improve and to learn. So yeah, you can check out all my other videos and see what else you want to watch and kind of see where I'm at now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.